Yeah, it's always fun to get chat going.
You're listening to the
I think chat got some fun
Insider,
last week.
bringing you weekly tips, tricks, and advice for the official MLS fantasy game.
And fade in. Oops, forgot about the fade. Hello, everyone. We're just waiting for Ashley. She should be with us, but wanted to give us a start. I know I had a couple of messages with people asking if we were still doing the show tonight, and yes, that is the plan. Just wanting to make sure everyone is with us. So we're starting our YouTube element while we're waiting, and I'm going to send Ashley a quick message. She might not be here. She didn't say she might not be here. One, I've accidentally turned on the waiting room for this session, but she says, I'll definitely be there and ready. Just might miss the recap. They're having a lake day, so we're not going to wait. That was me not reading all of the message that she's... Oh, be on in just a second. No problem. So she sent me a message, and she was like, I read the part where it said, we're having a lake day, and then there's like the middle of the sentence that I skipped over, and then she said, just might miss the recap, and I skipped that part. Didn't read it. So having at the lake day, definitely will be there, and I just skipped the rest of it. And so that was that. But now she just messaged me. She says, start without me. Well, I have Ashley. So there we go. That's what's going on. So we're going to start while we're waiting for Ashley. I'm going to not count this as a rough start because this will not be part of the stream. Or this is part of the stream, but it will not be part of the live session, what goes on SoundCloud and the podcast service. But it is here for all of you glorious people who join us on YouTube. Thank you so much. The social media has been published on Twitter and over at Discord. So if you would, please do share that out, like and share there. And also, if this is your first time joining us for the podcast, we're here on YouTube. Thank you so much. And please give us a like, subscribe, follow if you are interested in this content, interested in playing the official fantasy game, or just learning a little bit more or being a part of our community. So appreciate you so much for doing that. It helps metrics. It helps lots of stuff. I know that we're a niche little group community here, so I'm not expecting to have some sort of like silvery play button in the back. And a loose connection on my mic. I'm cutting out. Well, that's also part of this. How am I sounding now? My level looks pretty good.
You're not cutting out to us.
I'm not cutting out. Anybody else in the Discord? Anybody else in the YouTube chat? Am I cutting out for anyone? Oh, wait, never mind. Hey, no, we're good. Now I'm moving around trying to find my boom. There we go, right there. I'm fine. Okay, well, that is enough for that. We'll go ahead and get started as we wait for Ashley to join us. As she said, she may miss the recap, but she didn't give us her score, so I guess I'll type my score in real quick right there. There we go. That was easy. All right, well, cool. We will get started right now. Hello and welcome to the MLS Fantasy Insider, our preview of round 22 of the 2022 MLS Fantasy season. This episode is brought to you by Phantom Assists, a new stat coming in 2023 to MLS Fantasy. Oh, no, wait, sorry. Actually, brought to you by the amazing Patreon supporters of the MLS Fantasy Insider. You guys are awesome, and I am just so happy that you are members of our Patreon family and community. Every day you help keep this project going. I'm your host, Reed Connolly from MLSFantasyBoss.com, and tonight I'm joined by my partners in fantasy, the one soon to be joining us, not here immediately, Belaine Riffle and Ashley Savage. We'd also like to welcome our very special guest, Christian Ward. How are you all doing tonight?
I'm good.
You can talk. I mean, Ashley's...
Oh, yeah, I'm great. Yeah.
There you go. So what's happened is, as I was doing the intros, Ashley was joining our Zoom chat.
Oh, shit, sorry. Classic Ashley, just messing it up.
A very classic Ashley. And it came in right as we do our usual hellos. And of course, Blaine has to go first. But Christian, always the polite person that he is, saw that Ashley was here and was trying to give her time to talk. But that just resulted in dead air. And we can't have that, folks.
Oh,
That.
sorry.
Never, never. No, you came just in time, Ashley. We're so happy to have you here. And I was telling people in our little behind-the-scenes YouTube pre-podcast chat that you were enjoying a lake day, and I completely misread your message. You were like, enjoying the lake day. I'll definitely be there and ready. Just might miss the recap. I totally left off that last sentence. I was like, lake day, definitely be there. Awesome. And then I saw this very pretty picture of a lake, and I was like, that sounds fun. And I honestly thought you were going to be joining us for some like solar-powered backup battery lakeside.
I wish.
Seems
Nope,
very
regular.
Cascadia.
That lake is in my neighborhood, so.
I like it.
Yeah.
It. Well, thank you so much, everyone who's joining us tonight. I already saw a few. Well, I thought there were scores. Look at some people were talking about maybe their team value. Don't care as much about that, though. Apparently, Christian has 10 million more than I do because I am a scrub, I guess. But let's talk about your scores. If you're in chat with us, please do share how you did this past round, and we will start. Everyone who is with us tonight, how we did. Blaine, what about you?
Hold on.
Good. Yeah, I got an 82 for the round. Not great. A couple of happy accidents in there, or one happy accident. I know I chalked it up in Discord, and I completely forgot I didn't have this. I panicked in, or not really panicked in, but I put Santi in on the midweek when I heard Tati was for sure going to go. And then I forgot to switch him out for Maxi, which I was talking about in Discord chat. And then Maxi gets a 10 to Santi's 5. But that allowed me to put Driussi in and scrub out or not take the 5. So I ended up 6 points ahead on that one. Completely whiffed on my goalkeepers. Went with Tarbell when I saw Stuver was out, and I should have gone with the LA game there. I don't remember if I talked him down or talked him up last week, but I ended up going with Gazdag on the bench. And he got me a 10. I know at one point I had said he just hit.
You talked him up. I talked him down.
Yeah. Well, I remember saying at one point he just hit last week, and I don't bet on the same horse twice. So I may have been trying to talk down on him, or that may have been a week in between. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But anyway,
we talked about how he had a lot of PKs and that might be misleading.
Yeah.
Wasn't.
We had 10 on the bench there. Defense was okay, but my forwards really struggled. I had Cucho and Savarino, and both of those guys got 3s, which really hurt. I expected more from both of those. 82, I went up in the overall rankings by about 15 spots. Week rank was 887, not great. Okay start for Champions League. I'm within striking distance. I'm not out of it, but I've got a little bit of work to do going through these next few weeks.
Ashley, what about you?
Yep, I'm definitely prepared for that. I had not a great week. I feel like I just went really chalky, and it just kind of bit me in the end. For some reason, I'll just try to remember. It's like only loading my week 18 team, which I'll just blame Skylar for that. So I think I got 175. This is the first week, like back-to-back week all season, that I have lost my head-to-heads and dropped 5 or 6 overall spots. I think I'm at 79 overall now, and 2 weeks ago I was at like 51. So not a great back-to-back look for me. I captained Zella, which I kept talking about captaining Tati if he played, and it would have only gotten me 2 extra points, but I'm mad at myself that I didn't do it while I had the chance. I pivoted away from Driussi to bring in 7 bench points, which I thought was safe and smart, and ended up not being. So just generally not like a terrible week point comparison wise. But like I said, I think I got a 75 or a 76, which just wasn't great. So I've already made Champions League, which makes me feel better. My overall ranking's not bad. My team value is insane. But I think I'm at a little over 160 right now. So I'm trying not to get into my own head and feel like I'm hitting some sort of a slump, because then I start to do crazy tinkerings and stuff. But yeah, not a great week for me. We were also, you guys always use this as an excuse, so I will too. We were busy. So I didn't get a lot of time to look at things like I normally would. And so when I saw some good scores on my bench, I just kind of let it sit. I will say I contradicted myself super hard, and I put Insigne on my bench because I know him. And I just was like, listen, if he's going to start, he'll probably come out at half, but I just want to see what happens. It's a bench spot. I get a little less caring about my bench spots once I've made Champions League, and I only ever run one switcheroo. I never really double up. And the dude posted a 7 in 45 minutes, which I was pretty happy with. I mean, that was the same that Tati posted in 60. So I'm interested to see, I know we'll talk about that a little bit going forward, but I'm interested to see both those guys going forward. Pretty, not just an impressive outing, but fantasy wise, really impressed from those new players in 45 minutes of play.
Yeah, I got 62 points. It sucked. Moving on. Blaine, what about you?
You already did
Christian,
Christian.
what about you?
Oh, sorry. Well, I mean, let's go back to Blaine. Let's go to the top. It was so bad. That's how bad it was as I lost my place in the rundown. Christian.
It's okay. It's unremarkable anyway.
It is.
No, I mean mine. You could skip it. I got 80 points after corrections. I had an 85, but those phantom assists. Anyway, I keep for like the last 6 weeks, I've been hovering around the same overall rank, and I don't get it. Like, I know 80 isn't great, but gosh, like I'm between 100, 105 and 95 overall, and it's really kind of doing a number on my brain. My whole midfield failed. It just failed. Except for Driussi, and I did not plan on taking Driussi. Driussi was a punt. I was like, screw this. I'm just going to put Driussi in because I know if I don't, he's going to haul. Well, I'm glad I went against my gut and put him in because he hauled. Anyway, defense was great. I took Martins. I took Mensah. I took Wagner. I had Taddy on the bench. I started with Clark. I pivoted to Clark, and I think a lot of people did when they saw Reynoso wasn't starting. That was a mistake. And so I did the same thing Blaine did. I started with Santi Rodriguez in my team, on my field actually, because I don't believe in benching a mid ever. So I started with Santi, but I purposely left him in there, which was a mistake too.
Yes.
Had Heel, had Mihailovic. I believed in Jordy. I'm still believing in Jordy because I have to. But anyway, that's pretty much like 5, 4, 3, 6. 4 out of the 5 of my midfielders got those scores. Savarino got a 3. I mean, come on. Anyway, like I said, I'm just a little triggered right now. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I mean, for me, I did switch to Morales. I had Zella, and that was pretty much the highlight of my team. I mean, I had Palacios with 8, I had Martins with 9, and I had Tati on the bench that came in, but everything else just really didn't.
Dare you bench Tati on his last game?
Yeah,
oh, I did. I did.
No.
How dare you not? Okay.
No, absolutely not. Start him. I almost captained him.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, no, that's where it was. I had Chucho didn't hit for me. I had Heel didn't hit for me. I had Mihailovic didn't hit for me. Took a flyer with Gressel. I was just seeing what he would be like with Vancouver. Little new look with that. Hey, I thought it was possible.
Reed, I think we're gonna have to make Ashley drop her sounder stuff.
Why? What'd I do?
She's the resident expert, and she talked me out of Ladero. She talked a lot of people out of Ladero.
I didn't have him.
Nobody here is talking about having him. He was one of those guys in my first draft that I talked about last week. I ended up going away from him, and in the process, I brought Heel in, which I didn't have. I think Heel came in for Gazdag initially, and then I went back to Gazdag when Mukhtar was out. There was a lot of just tinkering in the midfield as the week went on. But I talked up Ladera last week, and I got told, "Oh, go with him if you want to," but I'm not doing it by the Sounders people. And then he goes off for one of the better midfield scores. And in a week when we're talking about 6s, 4s in your midfield, you kind of want that 14, 13, whatever he ended up with. Don't listen to Sounders people. They're pessimists.
We are. Well, the Sounders are also one of the more inconsistent fantasy teams this year.
No,
so
I know.
I think that's kind of what drives that.
I mean, if you're gonna say that against Ashley, I'm gonna blame you because I originally had Osorio in my team, and you were like, I wouldn't trust Osorio. And so I swapped him out for Mukhtar. So we each talk each other out of good things at times. So Ashley, I don't blame you.
The rule is don't
blame you
tinker too much. Don't tinker.
That is the
rule.
That is the rule. Let's talk about.
I have 2 words though. First on that very topic, Titi Ortiz.
Ortiz.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
That'll go over really well on the Discord. I just say
it will. It's for them. It's for the niche community. Let's talk about some other takeaways before we get into this round. So Ashley, some of your takeaways from this round.
Yeah, I don't have chat open, so I'm waiting for Patrick to just read me a new one or explain this. But what's going on with Atlanta? I know I read some things. I pay attention. It's not like I'm not paying attention, but I don't understand some of the lineup choices. I don't understand kind of the differences between first half, second half games, what Pineda's doing. Obviously, I love and trust Pineda, but I just don't know what is going on there right now. And it's making it difficult from a fantasy perspective for players that I want to take. Injuries, I know, I'm not discounting that, but I feel like we're getting a little past it all just being injury related. This was a game that I thought you could see some good point production from them, and we just saw basically nothing. Jesus Ferreira does not care about your fantasy team. He doesn't care when he's on a double game week and you want him to hit. He doesn't care when you've loaded up on RSL defense and he scores the only goal on the road. I think that Jesus Ferreira is kind of turning into the San Jose Earthquakes of a player, which is you can't pick him and you can't bet against him. So I'm not too sure what he's the Peter Vermees of your fantasy team. Peter Vermees doesn't care about your fantasy team. And then that Philly defense, we kind of go back and forth where we talk about like always load up. Kai Wagner's assist percentage right now is just insane for me. I can't remember the last time I watched a wingback leading MLS at this point of the season in assists. It's just so impressive what he's putting up, the whole defense as well. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't just say goodbye to my favorite shorted player of MLS, that is Tati. I'm glad he went out the way that he did, and I'll miss that inconsistent yet beautiful fantasy point production from that guy. So
Chad is adding for us that Atlanta's attack is lacking creativity, too many individualistic players, and that it's chaotic and in free fall. So I think that's a pretty good choice. For me, what I'm going to add is don't sleep on Toronto. They added a lot of good quality players right there. That's why I was originally thinking about Osorio at the beginning, was what could he do with all this talent that's in there. And I think that was a very good look. I think Bradley was maybe overperforming, so be careful about that one. But if you're looking at like points based on last week, careful about that one. But some of the other players, I think there's some good options. We'll talk more about Toronto later, but don't sleep on them. I think they're a good look right now. Christian and I had some conversation before the show started, and there were several times when I was like, here's my notes. And he was like, I have a thought about that. And I was like, that's a conversation for during the show. One of those things is, for me, Sporting Kansas City has become a team to bet against. But Christian, you disagree with that. Maybe Blaine does as well, but I wasn't sure if Blaine was going to make it tonight. So I'm
just reading Blaine's note that says a bad SKC, so I don't know if he's going to agree.
So let me start, and then I'll let Christian get his in. Sporting's defense right now, that's who I was betting against a couple weeks ago, and I took Savarino against them. I loaded up with RSL, and they got a halfway decent result fantasy-wise, or they played spoiler. They're kind of like San Jose. They're not a team you can bet against, but you don't want to bet on them for anything.
Especially at home.
Yeah, I keep thinking like, okay, I know Ashley poked fun at me last week. It's like, oh, is this a week you would take Vela? And one of my takeaways was Vela got a 1 on this one. Well, in 78 minutes, he didn't even get the 2 minutes thing. Like, he had a bad game. Sporting can take away a number one guy really well. They still give up goals. They're a team they're giving up goals, but it's not always your main playmaker. That's been their MO for years. I don't think Giovinco ever had a massive score against Sporting. We shut him down. Toronto beat us through other means, but we shut down the number one guy. And they're a team that I want to bet against, and I have, and it's burned me several times in the last month. So they're really up and down. They'll put a good defensive performance in. They'll put a bad defensive performance in. It's really knowing your matchups and who's going to run through them. Those center backs are slow and a step behind. I mean, Issy showed a total lack of game awareness. Christian Bale is driving towards his right. What is he going to do? He's going to stop, cut back left, and shoot with his left foot because he doesn't have a right foot.
What's Gareth Bale going to do, though?
Yeah, no, that's what he does. He's going to cut back to his left and shoot left-footed. And Issy just lets him do it. He starts cheating right, starts watching that. Bale doesn't have a right foot. Everybody who's watched him play knows he doesn't have a right foot. Our defender lets him put it on his left foot and get a snapshot off. It's bad decision making. If you've got speedy guys over the top, you bet against them. Arango was a great shout. I think I might have talked about him last week if he started and I forgot to sub him in. It's whatever. You want speed over the top in Kansas City. You want speed between the lines. You don't want to be taking primary playmakers. You want to grab those guys that are going to be able to sneak in behind them because those are the guys that are getting the bulk of the points.
Did you call him Christian Bale?
He did.
Whatever.
God,
I thought he was talking to me for a second.
MLS.
Whatever.
Gareth.
Whatever.
Amazing.
Gareth Bale. Now Christian
Bale's the actor. Gareth Bale is the golfer. Get it right.
You had a slightly different take. I was also thinking about against Sporting Kansas City defense when I was talking about this, but you had a different take about a value of Sporting Kansas City.
Oh, you're talking to me?
I am talking.
Oh, okay. So yeah, here's the thing. The thing that Sporting has been missing is that number 8, that solid number 8, the Gutierrez that you had, that you didn't replace for the last 2-3 seasons, and man, it showed. You now have a player in Eric Tommy. The reason why Vela got a 1-pointer, my theory is because Eric Tommy was all over that field. He was all over that field. He did not earn a single bonus point. So don't take Eric Tommy. All right. But Sporting is a better team because Eric Tommy is there. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I watched Eric Tommy in the Bundesliga. Well, when he got a game or two, he used to play for Stuttgart. They didn't really like him. That's why he's here. But I always rated him. He's a pretty dang high energy attacker. High energy. Well, he can attack. He does shoot. So I mean, he could play on the wing. He could play 10. He could play 8. I think Sporting's probably gonna make him a hybrid 8-10, which is I think what they played him at last night. So yeah, I mean, I watched that game very closely because I have him in draft, and I was very curious to see what he could do. And man, that guy impressed the crap out of me. I got to tell you, he really did.
I still think they are struggling in a lot of areas, and especially this week if you're looking for a potential home team to bet against. I think they have a positive matchup. So for me, they're a team I'm progressively betting against.
Reed, I don't see him on anybody's team this week. I don't see him as a talking point for the forward section. So I will say it here. Maxi Urruti is the guy that you want to look at this week if you're going to bet against Sporting. He's got that speed to go over the top. He likes to play through the lines. His style of play exposes the center backs in Kansas City, and that's the weak point in this defense. It's not the midfielders that are banging through the middle and coming up on us, grabbing a ton of bonus points. It's that speedster that's getting in between the center backs, making them get out of position, able to beat them on the dribble, whatever it is. Rudy's a guy nobody ever wants to take in fantasy, especially on the road, because he hits about 1 in 5 games and nobody ever gets it right. But he's the type of player, he's the perfect example when we're talking about this team of who you want to target now, because he's the guy that's probably going to benefit the most from the bad matchups on the Sporting side.
And then my final takeaway is have to do a big shout out to Tyler Ranchinator, who had a great differential pick this week with Kyoto as a Montreal forward. So good score there. Be sure to check out his articles at MLSFantasyBoss.com. Belaine, what else do you have for your takeaways that you had mentioned?
I wish I would have screenshotted this. Somebody on Twitter had it, and it still holds true. Chicago is unbeaten in MLS this season when Shaqiri starts. That's a crazy stat to throw out there because he's missed some games. But I think they were like 4-1-0 with his starts or something. Like, I can't remember. I don't know if he's missed that many games. It was something crazy, but he's unbeaten when he starts. And so that's something to keep an eye on. We've rated Chicago at times this year. The defense has been pretty good. It's one of those weird anomalies in the stats that you want to look at. But when he's starting, Chicago's value, I think, is going up for me. On the other end, I talked about it a little bit before, but it was all over Discord. Santi Rodriguez, his stock is way down when he is not the 10. Watch that New York City lineup. Santi got a 5 this week. That's not a bad score playing right wing. Some guys threw out some numbers. He had a couple assists from that wing spot. It's just his variance is a whole lot higher on the wing. He'll give you a 3 or a 4, and then he'll give you a 7 or an 8 or a 9 off that wing when he can notch an assist and really get the attack going. It's really matchup dependent, but he was pushing 8s, 9s, 10s consistently with the occasional 12 or 15 as the 10. Now, Maxi benefited from the goal, but Maxi still put up a 5 without the goal. So Maxi is the 10. You really want to just take whoever's the 10 for New York City. If that's Maxi, go with him. If it's Santi, go with him. But watch that one because I know chat was all over it, or Discord was all over Santi this week, and that was the wrong pick. And it goes back to it. Just take your number 10 playmaker over a guy on the wing in that situation almost all the time, no matter what team it is, but especially on this team.
All right. And Christian?
I would say that Santi Rodriguez is a decent pick no matter what, because he should have had a second assist. That would have put him at pretty much close to Maxi. Also, they have been known, well, actually Diala did this. I don't know if the new guy is going to do this or not, but he'll play Rodriguez at the 10 and put Maxi at the 8. And Maxi at the 8, if you ever see that, Maxi playing at the 8, you're going to want to take Maxi because the guy is like Joao Paulo at that position. He will earn like billions of bonus points. I would not be surprised with a Maxi score of 15 points, which is what he got when he played there earlier on in the season. So, yeah, I mean, you just have to – you're right, Blaine, it is matchup dependent. Anyway, this kind of leads into my point is the chaos factor. You know, I feel like with 5 substitutes and all these windows and all of the, the new concussion protocols, which really absolutely need to be there, with the chaos factor really bloomed into existence when COVID hit in 2020, and it never really went away. Okay, like this is where I am struggling with this game. I used to be a top 20 player every season. I'm sitting at 102 because the chaos is just, I can't figure it out. I don't get it. Like, is somebody going to get, I used to be able to answer, is somebody going to get over 60 minutes and the guy doesn't even travel? You know what I mean? Like, there's weird stuff happening this season. So, like, all I'm going to say is, like, it's a different game than we're used to playing. And it's also I'm going to say, don't get too frustrated. I know I get frustrated, but I keep trying to tell myself, look, there's no way you can predict a penalty. There's no way you can predict, somebody getting injured and having to come off. There's no way you can predict a red card. No way. And if people tell you that they can, they're lying to you. So I'm just saying, look, weird stuff is happening this season, so hang in there. That's kind of my message and my takeaway. I really did some soul searching this last day.
It's classic hashtag because MLS.
Yeah.
Classic.
I really almost rage quit on Sunday.
No, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
I know. It's childish, it's ridiculous, I get it. But
exactly. That's what the community is here for. If you are in that situation, come to the Discord, come to the community, just enjoy everyone's company and just forget about the fantasy time. So it's all good.
Christian, I choose to believe you're no longer top 20-ish every season because the player base is getting bigger and better every year. I just think keeping those perennial top 100 guys are struggling to keep up there because everybody's learning more about the game and it's growing at that top end with the active players.
We provide tips, people share, and that's what this is. We're a group of people who are sharing our experiences and some tips to help you on the path to building your team. I mean, we're making recommendations and picks the Monday after games. There's a week to go, so lots of stuff happens. This is just a building point. But let's move on now to our housekeeping section for the upcoming round. So I really did like it last week whenever you guys were like, I think Reed wants us to pause here. Is that right?
I know. Both Blaine and I were like, we need to add notes. It says segment. Like, you'd think that we'd see that and be like, that's probably the pause.
And then the next one, you're just like, yeah, let's go. So I was like, okay. So I had some fun. I had some fun with the editing. Let's see here. Social. Click more social. If people want to share that, thank you so much.
Okay, sorry, I haven't done that.
Very good. All right, let's talk about housekeeping now for round 20, starting out with a quick recap of our leagues, the Classic Leagues, Discord and Patreon, Cast on 35 leading the Discord League, and FC Lambo leading Patreon. Been like that for a little bit there. Over to our head-to-heads, Garth Butchers leading the Discord head-to-head, and Ryan Anderson, Lineup IQ, leading the Patreon. That's been also pretty consistent. MLS Fantasy Insider Experts Invitational, still shifting around in there, but Donuts is on top, a name that's come back and forth multiple times this year. The big battle, though, is going on in the Pro Rel League, in the Fantasy Boss Pro Rel League. We have Todd Modisette, who is back on top with a record of 14-1-4, but that is only by points because his fellow 14-1-4 member is our very own Patrick, and that's tough. It's tough. So we got just points separating those guys right there. It's been a crazy battle of the Champions League. What about the Veterans League?
Yeah, you guys, I love this every week when we have a new leader. I feel like we've gone back and forth between the same 3 or 4 teams over and over again the last couple weeks. This week, Blake's Flames, new, on top. Very excited about it. Yeah, this has been really fun. I think one of the best things about these leagues is none of the 3 of us have ever been leading any of these leagues, and I love that so much because it's been really fun for me to see some names that maybe I don't see pop up in Discord as much or in the different head-to-head leagues. So I have loved this, and while it's my league's turn to talk, we had a question in chat, and I want to ask you, Reed, because I don't know the answer. What are the cutoff positions for promotion and relegation in these leagues for next season?
Oh, I have them not handy, though.
I thought it was 5 up and 5 down.
No.
No, that's too small for 30.
No, it was different. Blaine, you talk about yours, and I'll see if I can find it real quick, and if not, I will find it. And
yeah, Ashley's talking about changes. We've got changes over here too. McBean All-Stars.
New name.
Took the top spot away from Nex, who's in chat again. But that's only by a single fantasy point. It is 1917 to 1916. They're both at 17-0-2, and then FC Red Bull Green Mountain is hanging there in third with the 16-0-3 record and beats both of them by points. So this is a wild season down here. I have no idea who's going to win this one. I've fallen to 15th after another loss this week. I lost to McBean All Stars last week, and so now I feel better now that he's on top.
There we go.
But yeah, no, I agree with Ashley. Pro rel leagues have been exciting. They are fun to watch. It's fun getting to know some of these names. I think McBean All Stars is in Discord. I know Nex is in chat quite a bit. If you're out there and in one of our leagues, do reach out to us. You can see which one of us is in your league. We love talking to you guys. I know Warsaw Riders is sitting in 6th right now and all over Discord. It's fun to get to know some of these names as they come through the pro rel leagues and then seeing them in social media talking to us. This is all about community. I love the pro rel leagues for that. I'm looking forward to some switch up next year and seeing some new faces and new names and pushing some of these good players up a league, because that's going to be a lot of fun to see too. But yeah, I love having these leagues and just seeing what's out there and getting to know some new names and just lots of crazy turnover.
Okay, so I have my notes here for the Pro Rel League. Perfect timing, everyone. So for the Experts League, that was the top 5. I had said that it was going to be the bottom 5 were going to get relegated down.
Thank God.
For the Veterans League, is what I was calling it at the time. So for our second league there, for our Veterans League, it's the third league I changed the name for. It was going to be the top 5 promoted, of course, and then the bottom 10 relegated. And then for the fantasy, what I called at the time, fantasy newcomers, which we changed to developmental, which needs to change again. I was thinking of calling it maybe the Challengers League next year. I will definitely be taking suggestions for name. I kind of like, we have champions. I don't know if I want to have another C, but definitely will be taking suggestions for names next year.
Call it the Pro Rel Open, because there are some heavy hitters in here.
Well, I don't know if I want to call it the Pro Rel Open, because I'm considering having a 4th tier next year, because we've had a lot of fun in our waiting list league as well. So I'm considering even having maybe that would be the Open. I don't know. We'll see what happens next year with that. And at the time, I said that it was going to be the top 10 promoted from our newcomers league. I may have changed that. I'll go back through our notes. I might have done 15 and 15 for the switch there. I had some conversations, and I can't find the most recent notes right now. Sorry about that. I had planned to get that all sorted out closer to the end of the season, and Ashley put me on the spot. But no, I need to get that.
I just relayed the message.
No. That's perfect, and I'll just double check. But that was the gist of what I was thinking at the beginning. 10s and 5s. It may have changed to 15 just to really help shuffle people in, because I know that was one concern that we had, is we really wanted people to feel like they weren't stuck in their leagues, and so but it was like 5 or 7 for the top, just to help people get up there. But no, we did have the development. So the development league, or sorry, not the waiting list league, was just sort of the overflow, because everyone who was a Patreon member had first dibs, and then we opened it up on Discord, and then we opened it up to the public, and pretty much by that point there was like 1 spot left. So that's what that was. And then everybody else who was on Patreon or whatever, the link was still there, but I changed it, and it went to this waiting list league. And so the plan is that at the end of the season, I'll be contacting everyone to see who is still interested in coming back for 2023, and then we'll do the pro relegation and see where everybody is at that point. And the open spots will again first be offered to those who are Patreon members, and then after that we'll then go through the Discord and then go to, and when I say the Discord, I'm going to advertise it on the Discord first. And so before I just post it on Twitter for everyone to hear, I'll post it in our main Discord chat, so that anyone who's there will have the opportunity to join. But those who are Patreon supporters will have the first dibs of being participants in the Pro Rel League again this year. The goal, though, is that those of you who are on the waiting list, that's who I'm going to go to first. So if you're on the waiting list and a Patreon member, I'm going to check with you first. If you're on the waiting list, I'll check with you, and then we'll just kind of see who's there. So that's why I'm considering having a fourth tier, because we have had a lot of people in the waiting list. I thought that the waiting list might be just, I don't know, 10, 12 people, but it's like a whole nother league in and of itself. So our waiting, actually, I never mentioned it. I probably should start mentioning it. The Pro Rel, it's 22 people in the Pro Rel waiting list league. So that's like another league in and of itself right there. So pretty good. And leading the Pro Rel wait list is Wah Wah Wee Wah. So So there we go.
Awesome.
16-0-3.
Nice.
So right there. So some good stuff.
I like MLS Next Pro, but it's got to be MLSFB Next Pro.
Ooh, I like that. I like that too. I like that. We'll get it figured out. I mean, this is a whole new thing. It's still a work in progress. There may be some adjustment to it even after the season of promotion and relegation, just because I don't want you all to feel like you're just stuck, and I want there to be shift. I mean, if we have a fourth tier, maybe like half of everybody switches in and out. It could be. I mean, it's just supposed to be fun. I don't want it to be too extreme, but that's the goal. It's an evolving project, so I'll definitely be taking feedback on this later. All right, back on track. Let's talk about actually the rounds. So we're going to be round 20. Round 20, yes. Round 20 starts on Friday, July 29th at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is LAFC versus Seattle, a much more reasonable hour for those of you on the West Coast. But that is LAFC versus Seattle, July 29th.
Not really, it's still 8. I mean, I'm not
It's
going to watch soccer at 8 p.m.
but you're gonna.
I am.
But you're gonna. Yeah, so everything starts on Friday, and then we have a whole bunch of games on Saturday and one game on Sunday. So a fairly standard week right there, pretty standard right there. We do have teams who are on a bye this round. That's been kind of unusual this year. We haven't had many bye weeks. But Colorado and New York Red Bulls are both on a bye, and so if you're looking for switcheroo targets or players to activate your switcheroo, those are going to be the perfect players to pick because they will not play guaranteed. Otherwise, nobody's on a double game week, and we're going to start talking about some of our injuries and returns. Blaine, you want to cover that for us?
Yeah. Vrioni, the Revolution's replacement for Buxa, got his first minutes. Bernadeschi and Insigne for Toronto both started. Both had significant contributions. I know Insigne only went 45 minutes.
They both only went 45 minutes.
Okay. But yeah, still significant contributions in 45 minutes. That's a huge deal to start their MLS careers. Normally we say mid-season acquisitions, mid-season starts are always a wild card. But if the first game's anything to go on, those two guys are going to be great. Got a few suspensions here. Fuchs for Charlotte picked up a red card. Kellen Rowe for Seattle also did. Wheel and Lovitz for Nashville are both going to be out on yellow card accumulation. Jose Martinez is out with accumulation for Philly. This is his third yellow accumulation suspension of the season. Kellen Acosta, Velasco for Dallas, and then a big one is Pablo Ruiz for RSL are also all out with yellow accumulations. As far as injuries go, Yazwiak for Charlotte is out with an ankle injury. Mark Anthony Kaye just got to Toronto, started his first two games, left the field late, and they didn't sub for him, but he was out. Corey Burke for Philly is on the concussion list, which means their strikers are probably more set in stone. Amaria for Minnesota is listed here. Christian, do you have any more updates on him?
Not at all. Sorry.
Okay. And then Melia and Hernandez for SKC have both missed games now with injuries. Let's see. We got some more. Godinho for Vancouver was out. Areola for Dallas also is listed here. And then what do we got? We've got Gutierrez and Pineda for Chicago both listed on here. So we've liked Chicago's defense at times this season, but that's two guys out of their core that are gone right now. And then double game week information. We don't have any official double game weeks, but Vancouver and Toronto are playing the Canadian Championship on Tuesday. And then Orlando, Kansas City, and Red Bulls will be playing U.S. Open Cup on Wednesday this week. So watch those lineups. I'm guessing most of these are going to be first team guys, so you may see some weekend rotation in MLS.
There you go. All right. Thank you so much. And for For those of you who are interested in keeping as up to date as possible with injury reports, I've seen a couple of email notices from MLS this year, which has impressed me about that. But for the better source, in my biased opinion, is you can head over to the MLS Fantasy Boss Discord and check out the Mega Reference, which is what we reference every time we are here. It's over in our Fantasy Tools section, pinned and frequently mentioned in our main chat. But check out the Mega Reference there. The easiest way to find the Discord is to go to mlsfantasyboss.com/Discord. There's a link right there. It's easy, it's free, it's fun. We have a huge and growing community of just players who love to talk about MLS Fantasy, provide tips from MLS Fantasy, and just general soccer chat. And this includes some of the best players in the game and people who represent MLS directly. So your thoughts or your opinions are being heard, and people are very open to sharing and helping you improve your game. So yeah, head over to mlsfantasyboss.com/Discord. But now let's move on to what I know so many of you are here for, and that is talking about our early player targets for round 20. For the social. There we go. Yeah, I saw some questions about players getting added. Skylar adds them as soon as he can. I'm not sure what dictates what he adds them. Of course, one is just the confirmations that they are here. I don't know if there's any work with Opta that works of when they're able to get the feeds for the stats from the players. I imagine that could be.
I think Opta has the stats already. It's getting the fantasy provider to get the names in the system and pulling from the Opta database. Ranch does such a wonderful job working with Skylar and the MLS team on getting those names compiled, and I think they start working on adding players usually on Tuesdays.
Yeah, so it's a work in progress.
I'm hoping tomorrow we'll see some updates and some movement.
Yeah, and there's plenty of time for them this week to do that, of course, with the schedule. So, but yeah, so there we go. There's that little aside. New social. If anyone wants to share who has not shared, thank you so much. And those of you who have joined us for the stream, welcome. You're getting a good time. All right, let's talk about our player picks for round 20, starting with keepers and defenders. We've had some overlap here. A lot of us really like Blake. He seems to be, except for Christian, sort of the general consensus. If you're going to be doing a keeperoo, going with that. A lot of us also like Selena on the first end of a keeperoo. As far as defenders go, we're kind of all over the place. Philadelphia is definitely a standout from a lot of us there, but after that, it really kind of jumps around. So, Ashley, what are your general thoughts?
Yeah, I'm considering a Slonia to Blake keeperoo, just to see how that plays out. I love Kai Wagner. There's not a lot of matchups coming up where I won't pick him up. I like him this week. I like Walker Zimmerman this week. With Lovitz out, I'm not super sure, but I think I still like him. Reed, help me with the name. Chicago guy that keeps scoring goals. How do you say it? Too many vowels next to each other. Sorry, consonants.
To help you with
Thank you.
Something like that.
Yeah, I like that you knew what I was saying as soon as I said consonants. I like Shihas from Chicago also getting goals. I know. I just like it when you say them.
Oh, thanks.
They sound less. I feel like I sound dumb and you just sound funny. I like him from Chicago. It's hard for me to bet against that Atlanta midfield and attack because they are good, but they're not playing well. So I don't want to go too heavy on Chicago because I feel like that's a little bit of a trap, like Blaine said, with two of the defenders out. But I like him more for the offensive potential. And then I'm probably going to have as my bench defender an LAFC defender, just to see how that plays out. I know Seattle scored 2 goals. One was down a man, but that goal down a man was a penalty kick. I don't love Seattle's offense lately, especially as they try to continue the experiment to see who is going to play in the middle with Rusnak. When Christian Roldan is in the middle, it gives a lot less of an offensive power. I don't know if Rui Diaz is going to start, and if he does, I don't know if he's going to have an impact. I hate to bet against my own team, and Seattle does historically go to LAFC and do okay, do pretty well. But it's the first game of the week, so I think it's kind of worth a bench shout. but I am also keen to see how Columbus defense and then also Minnesota's defense does. So I'm paying attention to those lineups and might slot some of those defenders in.
So for me, I had a Christian made fun of me when he looked at the rundown because he was
I
like,
thought that was Christian. I was
no,
like, oh,
no. No, he was like, you have a lot of notes about defenders and keepers this week. I have no anything. I was like, I had a lot of thoughts about keepers and defenders this week, and he was like, I can tell. So in general, these are my thoughts and some people I'm looking at for keepers and defenders. I was originally looking at a Selena Blake keeperoo, but I decided I didn't like spending close to $20 million on a keeperoo, and so I just threw away a keeperoo and just been like, Blake. I'm just gonna go with Blake. I like that matchup, Philly Houston, and I feel like there's so little variance between the keepers. I'm not really concerned about that because I'm using that money to get a better midfield, and I think that's just a better bang for your buck there. So I think you're totally fine to go with a single keeper this round, and there are a couple of good options, I think. Otherwise than that, I'm worried about Ladero and what he can do on the road. My note actually says I fear Ladero with LAFC versus Seattle. LAFC's got a good defense, but I mean Ladero does Ladero things, especially here in Ruby could be back this week from Ashley. There's some options there, but I just feel like there's that chance that I don't know if I want to go in for that LAFC defense. So I don't have any of those players. Not high on Atlanta, so therefore I like Chicago. As we mentioned earlier, free fall, just like dumpster fire there, so that makes me like Chicago. And I would have, had I actually answered your question, Ashley, I would have said like she hosts, something like that is what I would have said, maybe she hosts, because I have not watched a Chicago game this year, so I've not heard someone pronounce that name. But honestly, when does that stop me from mispronouncing it? But I like his production, so that's who I'm targeting there. Equally, like I said, not high on the Houston attack. Every now and then something happens, but I like the Philly defense, so that's why I'm willing to double up on one of their defenders. Take your pick on whoever you like for your budget right there, plus Blake for me. Nashville's not been 100% at the back, and Vancouver does have some offensive potential that we have seen, and so like I've seen other options from the Nashville back line, and I'm not confident there, so I don't have anybody from Nashville, but I totally get those options, but that's where my mind is. The new look Toronto, I think, has a good shot on the road to score against New England, equally being scored on, but I wouldn't just throw. In the past, we were just like, bet against Toronto. I'm not really just betting against Toronto automatically, because I think they've got a bit of an offensive bite to them that's untested, but still potentially there. Already mentioned, not a fan of Sporting Kansas City, especially at home versus an Austin team that can score. This is a good group, so I definitely could see some options there. So not liking the Sporting Kansas City defense in the slightest. And then I have a question mark on my team. So back to the Sporting Kansas City something. I have Garbleson as an option there because I'm also not big on Sporting Kansas City's offense. So I think that could be a road clean sheet for Austin. For Dallas and LA Galaxy, my final thought for this. So Dallas has had 2 clean sheets over their last 3 games, and I'm not a huge fan of the LA Galaxy attack. That whole team is just sort of in chaos. I heard a great comment on the last extra time I listened to where they were like, has Vandy realized like he's not wearing the scarf anymore and the wins aren't, so bring the scarf to LA? I think there could be something there. I'm just saying, but I'm a scarf guy. But anyway, I'm not a huge fan of their attack. I'm not a huge fan of Dallas's attack either, so maybe this could end up being like a 0-0 type game. And we had that good LA shot last week for the clean sheet. But I'm looking at maybe a Dallas player as well. That's a team I'm considering at this time. So those are the long form thoughts of Reed about keepers and defenders for this round. Blaine.
Yeah, Reed, you have such detailed notes on this, and I'm like, this is a 2-team week for me. Now, it's not exactly 2-team because you've got to have a little bit of variance, but I see 2 teams here that I am like 100% committed on, and that's Chicago and Philly. And I think you could fill your entire back line with Chicago and Philly and be happy and feel pretty safe doing it. Wagner is insane this year. I think he's kind of a set and forget type of guy that's going to be in there. And Chihas, which I would have pronounced Zichos the first time, so thank you for that. He's got 3 goals in his last 4 games with 2 clean sheets. Lowest score in that window is an 8. Like, when he's in that run of form and Chicago's defense is playing as good as it does, it's kind of hard to ignore that. 3 goals in 4 games is insane for a defender. I don't expect him to keep that up forever, but who knows? I mean, they're getting set pieces, they're playing well. It is what it is. So I think he and Wagner are both kind of auto includes. Um, I can't double up on Chicago knowing Atlanta has Martinez and Almada, and Moreno's there, Cisneros is there. There's too many names in Atlanta that I can't double up on Chicago. So I'm going with Crépeau on the front end of the keeperoo to Blake. I feel like first game there, Seattle has had a few issues. I've got the money to do it. If Crépeau hits, great. If he doesn't hit, I want Blake anyway. Blake is my primary pick this week. So I'm not out anything. And then just because, and I'm torn on this last one, and I want to triple up on Philly. There's a good chance I do if I don't take a guy anywhere else. I mean, Elliott's putting up solid numbers on his own with a good clean sheet shout. But I do like Mensa this week. Charlotte's missing a couple of guys. They haven't been putting it together. Columbus is playing better with Zella back. Holding possession is a great way to take pressure off the defense. Mensa's been playing well. I don't think there's a ton of bonus points, but I think there's some clean sheet potential there. So I do like Columbus, but Mensa's probably going to become a third Philly guy and definitely see what happens. If LA keeps the clean sheet in that first game and I dump Blake, I'm definitely going to be willing to double up on Philly. Tripling up on defense is always a tough ask for me. 1 goal and you drop 15 points right there. That's too hard for me to do. So that third spot's kind of up in the air for my defenders. But I really think you can go Philly, Chicago, and then splash in LAFC on the front end of a switcheroo, or go with Columbus, who I think has probably the next best clean sheet shot of the weekend. And that's the extent of what I'm looking at defensively. I think everybody else is primed to concede a goal or 2 throughout the weekend. I don't see it anywhere else. I don't see the bonus points that can compete with the guys I've listed. So I think this is really kind of a 2-team weekend with maybe 2 other teams possibly getting in there just to give you a little bit of diversity.
Christian.
Well, that's not going to scare me away from my triple Philly defense. And I'd just like to preface this by saying I'm running an auto-roo this week because I'm not going to be around on Saturday to watch lineups. But I think like the Sun would have to go supernova in order for Jim Curtin to change his lineup. So I'm pretty sure Wagner, Glesnes, and Elliott will be playing on Saturday. So that's who I've got for my 3 defenders. I'm putting Nathan in there too as a fallback just for kicks. Just because, and don't ask me why, it's stupid, but just because. But anyway, keepers, that's why I'm not going Blake on the front end of an keeperoo, because I would rather have my points maximized by those defenders. And like Blaine said, I don't really trust anybody else with a clean sheet or even rotation. So therefore my keeperoo is I'm gonna put St. Clair on the bench, and with Jordy Petrovic as a fallback. Petrovic is a fallback for fun. I'm not expecting a clean sheet against the newly recrafted, resurrected attack of Toronto. Recently purchased, rather, attack of Toronto. But you know what? Petrovic, this is kind of an ode to him. He is the real deal. If you ever get a chance to watch Petrovic play, watch him play, you'll like it. So St. Clair, I really do think that Minnesota is going to beat Portland, even if Reynosa sits. So, and you ask me why, and the reason is because, we don't play on AstroTurf. All right, that's it. That Peeber's a defenders for me.
There we go. I like it. I like dropping. That's like the mic drop. I love it so much right there. All right, let's move on to midfielders. Our majority here, this is probably your chalk for the week. Zella, Shaqiri, Derusi, and Mukhtar are what we have. Blaine, who else are you looking at?
Yeah, midfielders this week was fun. I actually don't have Mukhtar. He's been a little streaky, and that injury kind of scares me a little bit.
It's a groin injury that they held him out, and the coach said it was precautionary and that he should be ready for the next game. But
groin tightness.
Correct. He did not say injury. I said injury, and that's my bad.
Yeah, it always makes me nervous when a guy like that misses a game. It's hard to go back to him. I think Vancouver's a little bit on the upswing. Gressel's there now. I don't think that really helps the defense too much. Vancouver's just one of those teams. If Kubas and Gald are playing, then it's a whole lot harder to bet against them like I used to. So I'm not in that consensus on that one. Other than that, I was looking at some pretty common names. I think a lot of people are going to have Zella. A lot of people are going to have Heel. Toronto's been a team we haven't liked defensively. I don't care what their attack is doing. Yes, possession prevents some defensive pressure, but it's still Heel against a bad defense this year. I think you have to take that one. I am looking at Driussi right now, but I think that one's going to be lineup dependent when they play Kansas City. It may go to Fagundes, who lines up better against either on that wing against either Zusi or Pierre. It really just kind of depends on how I feel at that point. I'm going to start Shaqiri. Atlanta's been so up in the air. No Lennon still. Their defense is not what it was. I think Atlanta's dangerous on the offensive side. Defensive wise, I can't justify not betting against them with the way they've been giving up goals.
Atlanta's dangerous in the past.
Yeah. And then I have Lucho coming back. He's off his suspension. This is his first week back. He's MVP, having an MVP caliber season. It's hard not to look back at him. And Miami is one of those teams we've bet against regularly throughout the season. They started 2 backup center backs this last week. So I'm kind of curious what Miami's going to look like, but I don't think that's enough to sway me from Lucho, at least as a bench play at the very least, which is where I have him right now. But I think Lucho has got to be in over some other names that may or may not make the cut. I know some people are talking about some different ones in chat, so I'll save those and see if anybody else has them. But yeah, I think those are my 5, with Driussi being my lightest on those. So Heel, Shaq, Zella, Lucho, and then Driussi's kind of potentially up in the air, but I don't know who I'd go to at the moment.
Ashley.
Yeah, I'm pretty straightforward this week. I like Zella. I like Heel. I do like Driussi. I'm paying attention to Mukhtar if he's healthy. And then I'm going kind of back and forth for that 5th spot between Jordan Mihalovic, Shaqiri, and Lucho. Those games aren't super close together, so I'll have to pull the trigger and decide because Chicago's much earlier than the rest. Miho only put up a 3. He's coming back from injury. I don't think he's fit, but I like that matchup. I'm always nervous to put too many eggs in the Chicago basket because it just hasn't paid off for me yet this season, especially Shaqiri. I don't think he's ever been great on any of the weeks I've decided to pick him up. And then Lucho, same thing. He was in great form before his suspension, but he's been out for 3 games now, so I anticipate a little bit of rustiness, even though they are playing at Miami, which I think is a good matchup for him. But I always get a little nervous when players have been out like he has. And just, he was crushing it before he was out, but he's been out for 3 weeks. So, I don't know how much that favors him, even though, like I said, I like the lineup. So those are who I'm looking at. I I didn't even weigh in on this earlier. I always hesitate to bet against SKC at SKC. But I think that Drewsy's winning the Golden Boot race right now. I know Tommy's will be in the middle somewhere near him, but I still think, and he's also goal dependent. I know Ranch always gets on me for like plugging Drewsy because he's always like, doesn't get bonus points. He doesn't, but he's scoring goals and he's getting assists. And I do think if Sporting put out a similar looking team, unless some people miraculously get hurt or come in, I think that that's a decent road matchup. But he's definitely the midfielder I'm least confident in, I should say. So take that for what you will.
All right, Christian.
In the last 5 or 2 minutes, I've changed all my midfielder picks.
Good for you.
All right, so Zelarayan is pretty much a lock. Mukhtar will be in my team from here to the end of this season. Don't care what anybody says about that fact. I put Lucho in just for the hell of it because I think Miami's defense isn't that good. And he's okay away. I don't know. Maybe Reed will talk me out of it. I had no. I'm not gonna say it because Reed's got it down. All right.
I mean, if you want to go into it for why I had it to mention it, but if you want to go into some of the logic, go ahead.
Well, I had Espinoza in there because I do like that matchup. RSL tends to be a little bit weird away. They're still a solid team. I mean, they're all right, but I have a feeling that they. I just have a gut feeling about that game. I think San Jose is going to play that game really well at home, and I think San Jose is pretty much on the table this week if you want to go differential. But anyway, I have Reynoso on the bench, and he's only on the bench because of the Ottaru. Okay, he's on my bench if he plays. He's really early, so he'll probably stay on the bench. If not, I'll probably flip over to Jordy Mihailovic. I still trust him. He's quality no matter what. This wasn't his first game back last week. This was his second game back.
Oh, my bad.
It was his first start. He played 30 minutes the week prior. I think it wasn't a very good matchup. I'm not sure I like this matchup either against New York City. I'm on the fence about Jordy. I'm on the fence about Heel. I feel like it'd be stupid not to take Carlos Heel against Toronto. That's what I feel like. It's my gut's telling me. But I also think that Buxa really nerfed him. Buxa leaving, he's not the same. He's not the same without Buxa. And who knows what Friona is going to do. And Bo, I just don't know. I'm like confused for the first time ever about Carlos Heel. But anyway, I think that's everybody I got on my list, isn't it? Yep.
So I got a lot of the same ones. I mean, I like Shakira because I don't like Atlanta. I like Zella because they had that little hiccup last week when a lot of us were hoping for more from them. But this week they're on the road, but to Charlotte, who got dumped on by Toronto last week with a lot of these new guys coming in. So that's just like, hey, that's a team I want to bet against on the road against a quality Columbus. I mean, they've got great mid-grade attack. I think there's some good opportunities right there. Maybe this is a blood in the water thing, or maybe this is just bandwagon. But I'm going to go with the blood in the water. Drewsy, we've talked about. Mukhtar, we've hit on. I have Acosta on my team, so I'm not going to talk you out of it. Cincinnati has done respectable on the road. I mean, they've done well on the road. Lucho's been out for a couple weeks. I mean, he just couldn't playing a game. It's not like they were like, Lucho, you can't play soccer. So, I mean, the guy's still training. The guy's still doing stuff. So I don't expect drop off. And he's going to want to come out there and do
Didn't
something.
he haul last time he came back from a suspension?
He doesn't.
Like this?
He doesn't like not playing. So
Right.
and it's
Yeah. Right.
and a lot of it is I don't like Miami. They've been a team we've all bet against often throughout this year, and I think that's a nice way to come back. Like on the road, Miami, yeah, let's go and do something. So I think there's some good options there. You've got a lot of other options too. We've seen some mentioned. You guys have touched a lot of them. Gozdog's another one I toyed with. He's just not consistent. He's put up like 3 good weeks of numbers, but I'm like, this really, and I kind of love Christian's idea of those 3 Philly at the back. That really shaves a lot of money off of what you're having on the back line. If you're just like 3 people set and forget it and put all your money up front, that could be an awesome 5 forward or 5 midfielders, 2 super strikers sort of option right there. But when it comes down to heel, this is where I've landed, and I do not have him at this time. I could very well add him in, but I agree with some of what you were saying, Christian, about not having Buxa. It's a different look, but also Toronto is now more dangerous, and you have to respect that as well. And so Toronto not having to always play on the back foot, getting just attacked, they have a release now where that's going to help. I know we didn't say like don't pick up Michael Bradley, he's not going to get a 15 again, but that's definitely a confidence booster for him coming in with that position to want to break up what's going to be going on in midfield, and Heel's going to be a target for that. So I think that Toronto game is going to be harder than maybe some people expect. Could still do great. It's Heel at home. He's still got Bo. There's still some people who are there. So I'm not saying like he's going to put up a 3 or do nothing, but I don't know if this is like, oh, I have to have Heel automatically throw in. I think some of these other guys have equally valid reasons for why I would just throw them in automatically. And with Heel, I'm like, I find myself hesitant a little bit because I'm like, wait, Toronto's changing. I'm not going to say change, but they're changing, and I think it's something you need to weigh before you're like, yeah, Heel, let's drop him in and let's go. So that's why I am not with Heel at this time.
Reed, I think you make a great point, and it didn't show up in the injury report, so I don't know what's up, but Josie started the last game for New England and not Bo.
Bo didn't even play.
Yeah, Bo didn't play. Yeah, that's the thing. And Vrioni came in at halftime for Josie.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've got to really take a moment and consider Heel's striker partner up there. If Vrioni starts, I feel a little bit better about Heel. If Josie starts, I may be tempted to dump Heel for Mukhtar, Gald if he starts, depending on what Nashville looks like if Mukhtar goes. I mean, there's some options there. Who knows? I may go over to one of the Toronto midfielders as well. There's a lot of options there. I think Heel is coming down a little bit. I think the 4 is largely because he started with Josie last week. He didn't, and then Vrioni's coming in for his first minutes. He didn't have a MLS ready striker out there with him that we can rely on to score goals. New guys never score goals right away, and the ones that do are very rare. We've got one this year who scored quite a bit to start his campaign, but normally you don't see new guys come in and just light it up like that. So Vrioni's one of those guys that I'm a little hesitant on because of that. So that knocks Heel for me. Like I say regularly, when you've got a confident offense out there that can hold the ball up, we've seen it with FC Cincinnati. We're seeing it a little bit with Toronto. We've seen it with other teams like Chicago from years past. They've had a good defense, but when you're just getting shelled, you're going to give up goals. You're going to give up points. When you put a confident offense out there, you're going to take the ball away from your opponents. And that's the one thing I worry about with Toronto is if they can hold the ball up, if these guys can string together some possession and keep the ball off of Heel's foot, his points just start to diminish quickly the less he has the ball. So I worry about that, but I think the lack of a striker partner for him is really the limiting factor on this one. And if you're on the fence with him, watch who their striker is, and if it's not Bo, probably look at pivoting.
Well, and Dylan Barrero did not play either.
No.
So
It says that
Boateng
Barrero and Gustavo Bo missed out due to injury. That's the only notes that the Revolution have on that. Maybe
they're not very verbose about their injury reporting.
And our notes for chat from Black and Red, Heel typically hits his best ceilings with Bo in the past, though either, to be fair. But let's talk about strikers, since that's starting to come up now. And who are you all looking at strikers? Really, the only majority that we've had is Chucho, who I will say, Blaine, new player who's come into the league in 4 games, goal, brace, goal against weaker teams, stronger team. He got nothing with his first 90, but goal, brace, goal. So we'll get to you. You're last. We'll get to you, Christian. You're first.
I'm going to take this opportunity to act like a congressman and say, Shaqiri, watch out for Shaqiri because Mueller has nerfed Shaqiri. Like Mueller, just watch out with Shaqiri. Okay. Let me scroll down here. Who did I pick? Okay. So, all right. These are all punts. I admit it freely. Arango and Bo are both on my bench. Obviously, if Bo doesn't play, it'll be someone else. I've got Taxi Fountas starting. I'm probably going to stick Cucho in there somewhere. I don't know. I'm really clueless this week. Don't listen to me. Done.
Great pitch.
Yeah, I'm a salesman.
All right. Well, Ashley, who do you have?
I also just want to asterisk that I did not weigh in on the heel conversation. So when Tyler yells at all of us later, I didn't contribute and he can't yell at me.
Sure he can.
Nope. I also like Chicho, Arango. He's consistently scoring goals. Seattle defense has been leaky. It's a home game. I think that it's an easy pick for me this week. It is the first game, but still. And then right now, what I have is Jesus Ferreira and then Cucho Hernandez. I know he didn't score this last week. That doesn't really scare me off him. I know sometimes when a striker gets hot and then you pick him up and he doesn't score the week you have him, the instinct is to fade. But I still do think that I like him, especially with Zella. But I'm also considering, again, contradicting my own "don't pick up the new guys" speech, which is I'm considering Insigne. I think that it's a different beast to go down to turf and go down to New England and play there. So I'm hesitant there. I'm kind of going to just wait to see. But I don't know. I like the point production that he had in just 45 minutes, but I think New England away is a little different than a beat up Charlotte at home. So
for me, right now I have Cucho for the reasons I mentioned at the very beginning here. And I also have Vasquez on my bench, kind of for why I was also looking at Lucho, is that he did still score while Lucho was gone, and they're also going up against that Miami team, and so I think that's potentially a good shout. Shaky. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to have him there at the end, but this first draft, I'm like, yeah, I like Cincinnati's chances for some goals against Miami, so I have him on there. And I have a scrub right now, and depending on what I end up doing, I may see if I can get something with the forward, but right now I just have my forward spot as one of my scrub spots. And now Blaine.
Yeah, I did say we had one exception to this, newcomers. And Cucho had his chances with Zella this last week. We all captained Zella for a reason. And Cucho, they looked dangerous. They just didn't connect. I think going to Charlotte, a road game's never what you want for a striker, but Charlotte's been so bad and given up so many goals. I think you can go back to Cucho as a bench play. I've got Arango on the bench as well for that opening game. It's really hard for me to turn down a striker in that type of form, scoring that many goals in the first game. You throw them on the bench, it's an easy play. And if they don't hit, you pivot to whoever you've got out there, which right now I have Taxi in my lineup, Orlando hasn't been playing well lately. Defensively, they've been giving up a lot. They've had some injuries, so I am worried about that. Moutinho got the start this week. Antonio Carlos has been on the bench and subbed in quite a bit recently. I think there's a little bit of rotation on that defense, and I always worry with that last game that I won't have a pivot. If Orlando comes out with a full strength defense, if you've got AC out there with Moutinho and their two normal wingbacks, I start to worry a little bit more about Taxi. Fizz has actually been kind of talking about one of those names that came on my radar this last week, and at $5 million, that's Kinkanovic for San Jose. Been putting up some solid numbers, got some goals recently. I mean, $5 million is not a guy who's going to float to the top of your list when you're scrolling very often, but the numbers are good. We've liked Abobasi off and on this year, but Kinkanovic seems to have better numbers recently, which is a weird flyer to take. But if you've got your other guys that haven't hit and you want to try something different, I think it's matchup dependent or lineup dependent with what RSL throws out there too. But I know some guys were giving Fizz a hard time for bringing that name up, so I'm just going to throw it out here on the podcast.
Thanks,
and really
Wayne.
blow that one right wide open because
Appreciate that. You just nerfed my draft.
yeah, and
Thanks.
I just think we've got to give the guy his credit too. I mean, he's been playing well. He's not getting talked about in many MLS circles, but he's quietly having a solid run this year, and he deserves a shout out. I like grabbing those guys at least once for fantasy just because I can. And it helps me remember, especially if they hit, it helps you remember them for future seasons when they become a bigger name.
But back in touch.
Kinkanovic is that random shout out for the week.
We can go back and touch one more time on Cucho before we move on. First game away at Chicago, weaker defense, 1 goal. Second game away at DC, weaker defense, brace. Hello Israel Derby, home Cincinnati, goal. Home to New England, nothing. That was a harder defense that they faced. But those last 2 games, 5 shots in both games. 3 shots against DC, 2 shots against Chicago when you only play for 28 minutes. I mean, that's a lot of point production. That's done well on the road. Charlotte gave up 4 goals to the new Toronto last week. So if he's going to be shooting and he's had decent production on the road before, I don't think how we can think that dismissing him from that is just automatically, because I mean that production, that's like Tati level stuff that we're looking at, like 5, 6, 7 shots in a game. Like that's the kind of thing we want to see from a striker who's not giving us key passes. So that's, you made good points about him. I'll just end with that as well about Cucho. I think he's chalk. We'll see him in a lot of teams. So this is an argument for something that's probably a moot point, but
well, I just put him in my team. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. There we go. So 1 point coming in right now. Red card off in 5 minutes. That's what's going to happen.
Chat brings up another name here at the tail end that he's on my draft team. He's a guy I've held for a couple of weeks now, but Hebert for New York City. Montreal's been a team that's given up some goals lately. Hebert has scored when he plays. I mean, I think he's got 5 goals in 6 games.
Yeah, but it's up in Montreal. They're going to adjust formationally without Tati.
Are they, though? Because Hebert's just slotted right in for him and done well. That's why
he's subbed in for him. They changed formation a little bit. They have. Especially because he comes in as a sub, so they sub out other midfielder. I mean, it's a little bit of a shift, but...
Yeah, I think he's got 4 goals in 5 starts, and he's got like 5 goals or 6 goals in 7 appearances on the year. Like significant appearances, not coming in for 2 or 3 minutes. Like he's scoring goals at an incredibly high rate, and this is one of the best offensive teams in the league. I think Chat's right to point him out, and I think we'd be doing a disservice to the community if we didn't throw his name out there against what has been a weaker Montreal team.
Well, we're starting to run long. We're starting to run long, so let's just move on to our captain picks and then wrap this thing up. Blaine, who are you looking at?
Honestly, I'm looking at Shaqiri. With the way Atlanta's been playing and the way they've been giving up goals. I don't know. Some of the other names I like, the other 2 I have are road players, and I know they're going to come up at other people's lists. I tend to like to stick with the home guys, and I think Shaqiri's the best home midfielder this week.
All right, Ashley.
Yeah, I'm considering Chicho Arango. I hate to captain in the first game of the week. It's a different day of the week. But I am considering him, even though it's against my own team. Other than that, if I see during the week that he's training and healthy, I like Mukhtar.
Christian.
Shaq is not the best home midfielder this week. It is Hani Mukhtar. Thank you very much. End of story.
If he's healthy.
If he plays, that's my concern.
Oh yeah, if he plays. No, he's better if he sits.
I love him on the bench.
Obviously, if he plays.
He's not in the 11 armband.
Okay, so like I would say Reynoso then. I would not pick Shaqiri. Sorry.
Okay, make sure. I mean, I'm looking at Zella right now just because I
think that's good. Yeah, I like him as well.
Yeah.
don't rate Charlotte, so that's what that is. So yeah, some nice diversity right there. We'll see what happens as the week goes on. Skyler will have up his stuff as well, so we'll see where people start consensusing right there. But let's wrap things up with our plugs. Christian.
The MLS Fantasy Boss Discord. Thank you.
Bam, there we go. Blaine.
Nothing for me this week.
Ashley.
Trying to think of something. I have nothing.
It's fair.
I know.
Fair.
Sorry.
The lake.
I have a hard time. I'm very sunstroked.
There we go. It's lake. That's what she's plugging right now. For me, MLSFantasyBoss.com. Check out the articles that we have. Skylar's differentials. Very popular this year. Please do check that out. And as Christian said, the Discord, MLSFantasyBoss.com/Discord. The easiest way to do there. Fantastic community. Please do stop by and say hello. It's just great. Love seeing that grow. But yeah, no, we appreciate everyone joining us. Don't forget to have your lineup set before everything starts this week. And as always, good luck.